Hi, I'm Kirk Hanson, Director of NW Certified Forestry. On March 2nd, we hosted a morning seminar on forest management options for small woodland owners on Orcas Island here in East Sound. The workshop covered a range of topics pertaining to forest management on Orcas as well as logging logistics. Our two primary speakers were Carson Sprenger of Rain Shadow Consulting and Rich Harvey of Harvey Logging. The video that you'll watch after this is a summary of the event, and we hope you enjoy it. This morning, so I'm just going to jump in and let other folks filter in as they get here. Good morning. My name is Kirk Hanson, and I'm the Director of NW Certified Forestry. We have been working up in the San Juan Islands for the past 3-4 years or so with small woodland owners, providing mostly educational services like these workshops and trainings. I also get out on site with folks, walk your forest land with you, and provide my input on forest management options. NW Certified Forestry is a membership-based program for small woodland owners. We're a nonprofit. We have a little over 200 small woodland owners in our program all over western Washington. We specialize in conservation-based forest management, but provide services ranging from wildlife habitat enhancement to commercial timber harvesting. So we have folks that span a whole spectrum of forest management interests. Our membership ranges anywhere from, I think our smallest is just a few acres up to several thousand acres. Of course, the folks with more acreage like that tend to be more into production, timber production. So we're a pretty dynamic, diverse organization, provide a wide range of services. I live in Olympia. Most of my field work is done down in the South Sound, working directly with forest owners. Obviously, you're a bit out of my range here, so when I come up and work in the San Juans, it's mostly just on a consulting basis, helping folks develop options and ideas for how to manage their forests. And once you've got a good sense of what your options are, I pass you off to the local specialists who you're going to hear from later this morning, in particular Carson Sprenger and Rich Harvey. As a nonprofit, we are able to get grant funding to provide programs like this. This is the second in a 4-part series of events that we're hosting on Orcas. How many people attended our November workshop? So that one was a real general introduction to forest management on Orcas. What we have heard from folks is that there was a lot of interest in getting into more detail about specific management strategies. Also, a lot of folks are getting letters from the county assessor saying if you are in DFL and have not shown any kind of commercial timber management activity in recent history, that you may be out of compliance with the legal requirements of the DFL status. My concern with that then is if folks don't know what their timber resources are, don't have a good sense of how to manage it, and get this rather dire letter from the assessor saying, thou shalt cut timber immediately, that you may not go about doing it in the way that's to your best interests. And so that, again, has brought us to today's seminar to introduce you to a range of forest management strategies that should address some of the most common issues that you're facing on Orcas or across the San Juan Islands. My hope is that with this kind of information, then you can go back to your forest, make more informed decisions, again, get connected to the right kind of technical service providers that can help you meet your objectives on your land, and all of us then can continue to be managing our forests for health, productivity, well into the future. So a little bit about, actually a few more introductory things. The next event that we're going to host is going to be in either late June or early July, and it's going to be a forestry tour, or a kind of a self-guided driving tour of the forest industry, if you will, on Orcas. So we'll have sites, we'll have mill sites, small milling operations, Secondary manufacturing operations, so folks that have kilns, planer molders who are producing finished products. We'll have different forestry sites, so you can see different silvicultural prescriptions that have been applied to different situations. We'll have building projects that have used local wood. This tour is actually primarily for the general public out there. We want to get them involved in this equation of sustainable forestry, if you will. My hope is that when home builders, architects, folks that are doing weekend building projects get more familiar with the local lumber resources that are available to them and get the need to support the local timber industry here, that we're going to see a little more emphasis put on purchasing local and supporting those small businesses that are trying to develop a local supply of lumber products. So that's going to be happening. You'll get the announcement for that probably in the next 2 months or so. And then our final event is going to be in August or September, and we're going to bring in the building community, wood products manufacturers, to have a discussion about how we can promote more local use of lumber products on the island here. And that really is the overall gist of this year-long project that we're working on, is trying to promote more local use of lumber. Obviously that requires cutting timber. Gets us back to today. Again, what are the different strategies for cutting timber on the island? One other aspect of this project that we're working on is we're putting together a directory of the forest and wood products industry in San Juan County. So if you are a forest owner that has timber available, if you're a small mill operator or a wood products manufacturer, if you're a retailer, if you're a builder, an architect, if you're a consulting forester, a logging contractor, we're collecting the business names, contact info for everybody. And at the end of this project, we'll be sending out that directory to help you get better in touch with whoever it is that you need in that chain of the wood products industry. So I'm going to pass this around, and on the back is a list of the business types. If you're a wood products manufacturer, some of the products that you may be producing. And the way to sign in for this directory is online, and there is a website link there. You can also call me or email me, and I can collect your information online. We will also be emailing out a notice about this. One of them has already gone out with a link to the online survey where you can fill that in. I really ask all of you to help spread the word about this. I think this could be a great tool for knitting together, again, the forestry and wood products industry, such as it is in the islands here. So I'll pass this around. And let's see if there's anything else. I guess the last thing is, again, I'll be coming back up here twice. As part of this grant, also it's paying for my time to provide free site visits to folks. So if you have not yet signed up for that, I'm available to come out for up to a couple hours, walk your land with you. When Carson Springer, our local consulting forester, is available, he joins me as well. So you get a chance to get some good feedback on your forest resources and different management options for them. So I've spent the past 3 days doing that. A lot of fun for me, and hopefully it's a good resource for you all also. So,
Kirk, how do we sign up for that?
just give me a call or send me an email. My cards are right here.
Okay.
We also have brochures for our program right here. And so either way, I'll get you on the calendar for the next time I come up. I guess the very last thing I'll say here also is, I like to make this announcement every time, is there is a federal cost share funding program for rural landowners called the Environmental Quality Incentives Program, or EQIP is the acronym. And it can provide funding for a broad range of timber stand improvement projects, pre-commercial thinning, tree planting, pruning, as well as conservation projects, enhancing wildlife habitat, putting in bird boxes, creating snags, et cetera, et cetera. It also pays for developing a forest management plan. So it will give funding to a forest owner to hire a consulting forester to develop a management plan for you. So again, if you're getting the nasty gram from the county assessor, and one thing you need to do is update your forest management plan or develop one in the first place, this is a great opportunity to get some funding to develop your forest management plan. The funding deadline for this year is already passed, so funding for 2014, the deadline is going to be in December. But go ahead and pick up this sheet, and also we email out announcements about this on a regular basis. So if you are not on our email list, if you haven't received announcements from us, again, please sign up here, and we'll keep you up to date on this and all the other kind of resources that come along. Okay, with that, before we get in, question.
I was just going to comment, the Conservation District also is here in the San Juan Islands, and we also offer site visits and forest plans.
Great.
And whatnot. There's a waiting list, so
okay.
Yeah, there's options.
There is, yeah, thank you, I'm glad you mentioned that. There's a lot of free resources out there from the local, state, federal level. Conservation District, the State Department of Natural Resources, kind of a limited resource, but they can come out, send a forester out. Natural Resource Conservation Service can send somebody out to walk your land with you. WSU Extension, their forestry extension also runs training programs on how to develop a forest management plan. Occasionally can send a forester out. So lots of free resources. I think the best thing you can do is just gather as much information as you can, and hopefully all of us that are walking across your land are not contradicting each other as far as the recommendations go for forest management. But what I like to do is recommend you get a lot of people to come out like that for free if you can, and then take the average, of what they recommend, or pick and choose what makes sense to you. A lot of different approaches to managing forests. There's really no singular pathway. It really is kind of a marriage between your objectives, your timber resources, markets, et cetera, and that's what you're going to hear about this morning. So, on the note of trying to stimulate more local wood production, I've asked Kaj Enderlein to come up and talk for just a few minutes about his experience on the island here producing lumber products, and kind of a recent project that he's working on in partnership with a few other forest owners and wood products manufacturers, just to give you an idea of what's starting to percolate out there. So, Kaj?
Good morning. So I'm a sawyer, I'm a general contractor. I've been playing with my sawmill now since the late 90s. What I wanted to share today is just a little bit of an update on where we're at with local woods. I've been, as Kirk was mentioning, I've had some recent projects where I've been trying to focus on not just the rough primary sawmilling, which I do. I'm a mobile sawyer. I come to your land. I can mill logs on site. In most situations, sometimes materials have to be moved off-site. If it's a building site construction, then we find a place where they can be milled. Historically, most woods have left the island. They take the ferry boat, they go to the mainland, you receive perhaps 10 cents on the dollar for that. So what my interest is very broad. Island jobs, island creation of work, opportunities, but also more recently I'm trying to look at added value. So I've had some exciting progress with that. First of all, I want to hand out, these are visual aids, by the way. They're officially a visual aid. This chunk of wood was taken down from a property off White Beach Road. Trees of this size are not that notable. They don't stand out. They're not old growth, they're not massive, they're not anything but a fairly small tree. This tree, I just counted the rings on it, it's just shy of 100 years old. Douglas fir. Similar trees off a different stand, but almost identical, were then milled into flooring materials. And so I'm going to hand these out. You can see they're great to take a look at. But I'm quite excited by the opportunity to promote use of our trees here on Orcas as much as possible. So the good news is it is all doable. It's a developmental, incremental steps we're taking. We have a lot of resource people on this island, whether it's the loggers, people helping you plan your forest for proper healthy stewardship of the forest, my end of the equation tends to be more towards, once trees have been selected, have been felled, now what do we do with them? Do they go off island or do they stay on island? And my promotion is to essentially encourage people to keep the resources here on the island as much as possible. We
How
have
do we
beautiful
get in-
materials.
How do we get in touch with you?
I have some business cards right up front here. Word of mouth. Who's the mobile sawyer? People know me by name in many of the industries. So I was just these beautiful pieces of the samples of the flooring have just come through a kiln process. We have two beautiful kilns at this point on this island, so we can now kiln dry commercially. Walter Corbin being one of them, Jonathan Luke being another. Each are on far corners of the island. I live in the middle, so wood goes both directions and gets processed in that way. There is a discouraging gap for me personally and for all of us. I was going to say there's a gap in what I'm doing for all of us, and that is the final processing of wood, shaping, molding, planing. We have some resources, but they're limited on this island. To produce flooring of this quality and grade, they have to, at this point, leave the island for that final processing. And that's a frustration for me because it's a cost factor, a labor factor. You're not transporting a whole log, you're only transporting a very dense trailer of high-value, kiln-dried blanks, but those do indeed have to go off island to Arlington where they're processed and then sent back. So that's just a reality at this point. We don't have the volume of sales on this island yet to promote a full integrated, vertically integrated industry at this time. It's really coming out of a hobby level to a commercial level. Speaking of commercial level, it's a real industry. West Sound Lumber, Jack Helsel's operation over in Massacre Bay area, they produce well over 100,000 board feet a year. I produce, on a mobile sawyer basis, strictly mobile, over 100,000 board feet a year. It's a micro industry relative to the big players on the mainland. It's nothing, but it is actually a lot of fiber held on island, recycled, reclaimed, put back into homes. So it's an industry that I'd like to just encourage you all to be aware of. I'm a resource. All the people presenting today are resources. Use us, ask questions. It's a huge educational steps to understand the whole picture between forestry, best practices, all the way up through job creation, or I will say possible job creation. Myself just being one part of the wood web, the web of wood on island. With that, I'm done. Yeah, oh, sorry.
What kind of equipment are you lacking to do that final finishing?
So
What is it?
technically, it's a 5-head spindle molder. It's a molder. It's a very fancy word for a machine which essentially takes a rough piece of wood which comes off the sawmill and puts the final surfacing on it. So that sample of flooring has a tongue, a groove, a top surface, and a bottom surface. Those are run through a molder operation. The actual machine itself has multiple rotating, motor-driven steel blades, and essentially it shapes the wood. Endless shapes come off these machines. Trim moldings around doors, window frames, everything, including flooring, wainscoting, ceiling trim, anything you go to Island Hardware Store or to any specialty finish woods, cabinet makers, all of that goes through a shaper molder operation. And that's a machine that it's $20,000 to $80,000 machine.
So can you
It's a
imagine,
big investment.
so the workshop here is on Orcas, but the industry is countywide.
Yes.
So if Orcas had one of those machines and people from the other islands were sending their products here to have that final touch, would that work? Can you imagine that might work? Have you done any analysis of what the capacity is in the full county?
Not by I'm ignorant on the full county.
Mhm.
I'm on that steep learning curve. And you're right, there's a business model which we all are talking about. How much wood does it take to allow one of these machines to be profitable?
Mhm.
And at this point, for just Orcas, where we are today, it doesn't pencil out.
Mhm.
It's not, we're not quite there. Once we achieve it, then the cost on these materials comes down significantly.
Mhm.
The transportation and the labor in handling several times there and then back is it's not prohibitive, but it's expensive. It's a significant part of the total cost. At this point, I've been involved with between 8 and 10 residences which have now put down Orcas Island Douglas fir flooring. So, you know, that's not a lot, but that's the last 2 years. So it's been about 4 or 5 homes per year at this point that I am specifically milling these components for. And so it's a blossoming possibility, but it's not something yet where you can go to the Island hardware store and say, hey, I want Orcas Island fir. However, that being the case, if you were to talk to somebody in the back room, they know us by name and can say, okay, we don't sell it, but talk to Kai or talk to Rich Harvey or to any number of resource people, and I can broker, I can package, I can put together projects. Next summer, this summer, our next gathering, my hope is to have several homes open where you can walk in and look at the floors.
Mhm.
And in one particular case, I'm hopeful I can get Bill Wolf's home, not his home, but his workshop. I'm hopeful he will be agreeable where we can go in there. You'll see the stair stringers, beautiful flooring, an entire movie theater with this wood, and all the trim. I mean, it's a massive amount of work of love and energy into it, and it glows. It's stunning.